What is now happening to Marxist teaching has, in the course of history, happened repeatedly to the teachings of revolutionary thinkers and leaders of oppressed classes struggling for emancipation. During the lifetime of great revolutionaries, the oppressing classes constantly hounded them, received their teachings with the most savage malice, the most furious hatred, and the most unscrupulous campaigns of lies and slander. After their death, attempts are made to convert them into harmless icons, to canonize them, so to say, and to surround their names with a certain halo of, for the quote unquote, consolation of the oppressed classes, and with the object of duping the latter, while at the same time emasculating the essence of the revolutionary teaching, blunting its revolutionary edge, and vulgarizing it. At the present time, the bourgeoisie and the opportunists within the working class movement concur in this quote unquote doctoring of Marxism. They omit, obliterate, and distort the revolutionary side of this teaching, its revolutionary soul. They push to the foreground and exalt what is or seems acceptable to the bourgeoisie. All these social chauvinists are now Marxists. Don't laugh. And more frequently, German bourgeois scholars, but yesterday specialists in the annihilation of Marxism, are speaking of the quote unquote national German Marx, who, they aver, educated the workers' unions, which are so splendidly organized for the purpose of conducting a predatory war. In such circumstances, in view of the unprecedentedly widespread distortion of Marxism, our prime task is to re-establish what Marx really thought on the subject of the state. For this purpose, it will be necessary to quote at length from the works of Marx and Engels themselves. Does this ring a bell? It's of course Big Vlad in the State and Revolution, of course, yeah. Today I want to rant a bit about the people who Lenin was talking about, a section of them at least, social chauvinists and reactionaries posing as principled Marxist-Leninists. And for the sake of this, I have put up a Stalin portrait. It's just Stalin's Marxism and the National and Colonial Question by Foreign Languages Press. I don't LARP. I don't have a Stalin portrait that I put up because I don't have the space here. But yeah, just in case they go after me and call me a leftcom or an anarchity for not wanting to ostracize queer people and people of color from the movement, right? um, wow, that's a great first comment. um, what do you mean work together? What the ACP is effectively doing is twisting, distorting Marxism by portraying it as some sort of like national um, establishment movement. And where do I want to go with this? This is why you have people like Carlos Garrido and fucking Haz Aldin calling for like complaint and utter appraisal for Dugin, the Russian fascist, and for Heidegger. And I don't really want to spend too much time talking about the ACP specifically because I haven't engaged with them at all except from actually just listening to what they said on social media, which was a bunch of LARP, straight up live action role playing, burning an Epstein figure. What are you achieving, my guy? Um, what is the role of the vanguard party? It is to organize the working class into a political power that can overthrow the capitalist state, the settler state. And what is the ACP doing? They are trying to talk about some sort of American communism while presenting this sort of like very glorified view of Stalin too. Do they not know what Stalin said to Mao when he talked about signified socialism? Anyway, what I want to get on with when talking about the ACP types they're very strong on the national identity, right? Very American, very Americanized. Um, and it seems like their goal is to really appeal to the social chauvinist part of the working class and the petit bourgeoisie, right? Because you have these ACP ads saying, "Oh, are you a communist? Start your business." Like, my guy, the goal is not to start our own independent business and call this fucking Marxism. The goal is to organize the working class as a political power to overthrow the state. What fucking level of delusion do you have to reach to think that, like, starting a business is revolutionary practice? Praxis, sorry. So, regarding the specific thing, right? I'm just gonna run the acp.us. You really love the AI website and fucking AI things. I just want to verify something. Yeah, seems like they have a BC chapter, an Ontario chapter, and a Quebec chapter. Thing is, no one's ever seen the ACP in real life in Quebec. They don't exist. But what we do have in Quebec is the ASLN, the Action Socialiste de Libération Nationale, and these people are um, uh, honestly worse than the ACP. They are diving into like actual like straight up fascist nationalism and Catholicism, Catholicist eruditism, right? How do you say this? Baseline, baseline. They split from the CPC-ML, I believe, or the PMLQ in Quebec, the Parti Marxiste-Leniniste du Québec. They're a Marxist-Leninist party, but my only gripe of them is, I mean, I have a few. They put the struggle for national liberation above the struggle for socialism, but the ASLN really put this like 10 times. It's actually incredible. Specifically regarding the PMLQ, it's like they're still stuck in the 70s, thinking that Quebec itself is a nation that needs liberation from Canada, which, yes, but we don't have to organize ourselves as a settler colony, right? As a political power on a national basis. A lot of the nationalist movement in Quebec is, how do you put that? How do you even put that? It's very, very far right. It's right wing. And we've seen even our democratic socialist parties, aka social chauvinist, um, dive into this sort of bourgeois nationalism where they really put forward a message that they want to fight for a country. Why? Because they're losing voters, because people are struggling to distinguish between them and the right wing social democrats. Yeah, Jaime, it really is a bunch of like elements of opportunism all over the place. You have the mega communism bullshit, you have the small business bullshit. Who are you trying to recruit when talking about small businesses and ethical landlords, bro? Like, what is the baseline here? You're calling yourself a communist party, and you're recruiting people to become landlords and petit bourgeois shopkeepers. Oh my god. Anyway, I have a few things to set up before I can properly go on talking about the ASLN. Um, I have a video to find before this. Wait, they changed their fucking name? Okay. All right. I just need to be careful. I'm on my student union's Instagram account. um, is there a way I can like not put this on the stream? I'm just gonna disconnect, right? Of course. Marvelous. All right. Where is this goal? What are we doing, gang? All right. But regarding IDPOL specifically, I do think there's an issue with the Western left by prioritizing identity politics and weaponizing identity instead of talking about actual class issues. This is a problem. How do we tackle this? By mobilizing people to reach class consciousness, not by antagonizing queer people. Alright. Why is Pocket Priest following this fucking shot, bro? He has a cross in his bio. And pinned videos with a Catholic irredentist fascist who spends his time talking about some anti-communism. Brother, he's talking about some tung 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 sahur hyperborea. What am I watching, bro? Hello, I'm Marcus from Quebec, and this is my praxis. I'm trying to find a specific video. It pisses me off. He always has Stalin's fucking bust on his shelf too. He has a video where he says like, during the revolution, the Franco-Canadian white worker in the forest will decolonize the mind of the little woke bourgeois citadin, like urbanite. Like, bro's actually defending the exploitation of first by these fucking multinationals. All right, okay. I have a few videos. How do I change this? Okay, right here. This was a protest I attended. Actually, was it? No, not this one. Sorry. Seems like he deleted a lot of videos. Where the fuck was this, man? Like, he made this fucking post. This is not ironic, by the way. Like, he's making a fucking post with the Nouvelle Alliance, this Catholic fucking guy, a René Lévesque. Who the fuck is this? I can't fucking see. Anyway. And the FLQ. For a little bit of context, so the ASLN is a split from the PMLQ, right? They have this page called Towards an Independent, Anti-Imperialist, and Socialist Quebec. This is sorry. This is probably the worst fucking website design I've ever seen. It's incredible. Actually, I reckon this one was worse. It doesn't exist. Why do I have two webcams on my thing? Yeah, no, just to clarify, I uphold Stalin as a principled Marxist-Leninist leader. Um, I'm saying that this guy specifically is a fucking fascist, and he's trying to appropriate socialist figures that really contradict the shit he says, right? So anyway, specifically regarding this fucking bullshit, right? Um, bro, how do I fucking navigate this? They really lean into the nationalism aspect more than anything, and here we go, Québec vaincra by Nouvelle Alliance. And Nouvelle Alliance is a fascist groupuscule that has a habit of beating up left-wing activists. Yeah, this is their website. They are nationalists. They are identitarians, and their whole schlick is to be Catholic irredentists, which is why they have this. Where's it? They had that the last protest we were at, where they had this burning heart Catholic irredentist cross. Like, this is actual fucking Nazi propaganda. And this guy, he's so fucking hilarious. François Gervais, he always deepens his voice, like really, really, like just to sound like a. I can't fucking do it. It's awesome. It's so fucking funny. Anyway, these are the goals that are upheld by this perspective communist thing. They changed their website name. It used to be ASLN, the Action Socialiste de Libération Nationale. I don't know what happened, but they just changed it. They have a bunch of text for a nationalist renewal, and there's a police officer. There's a guy who said a slur at me, and there's anyway, they're all fucking goals. This guy was, yeah, this is the protest I was at. Okay, and this is the burning hearts cross. Where's the actual image? Okay. And this protest was particularly fucking funny. This cop, this cop was like in front of me trying to shove me while I was holding a fucking a banner, right? And like none of us would fucking cooperate, and then he just went away and told us, "Oh, thank you for collaborating and not being fucking assholes." And like, we threw insults. It was funny. Anyway, I find it so funny that during this summer the cops they all had the thin blue line band, right? It's off the photo. I don't think this guy was wearing one, but a lot of them were, and the fucking red hat because they were in negotiations for the police union. Anyway, they're all talking about some coming from the far left and the far right, and the anarchist current to become nationalist and identitarian independentists or sovereignists or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And like they really go on about the Catholic fucking collective psychology, right? And like not only that, but in their manifesto they talk about a critique of the materialist worldview that to them reduces man to his simple economic labor dimension, forgetting that the human possesses a spiritual and moral dimension, as if this doesn't emerge from the material world. They're eclectic in that sense. And they really define themselves as Catholic irredentists on that matter, on all matters actually. So to get back to this fucking thing, the guy was putting them, Nouvelle Alliance, with a so-called socialist party. And I mean, they actually had a debate with the ASLN. Sorry, not the ASLN, the Nouvelle Alliance. Same thing. um, I believe their Facebook page is still this. And this guy used to be a whole fucking a socialist activist before becoming whatever the fuck this is. They're really diving deep into nationalism. We're gonna get into this Billy guy. It pisses me the fuck off, bro. Like every fucking time he's making these videos with a picture of Friedrich Engels, and then boom, René Lévesque, a guy who spent his whole fucking career advocating against worker unions, against like really any fucking capitalist bourgeois degeneracy, whatever. Anyway, just to say that the guy here, like, he ran over a homeless person while he was drunk driving, and nothing ever happened. Anyway, I'm not gonna judge him based on how many homeless people he ran with his car, but it's definitely a determining factor in his moral character. Anyway, boys will be boys. Where the fuck even is the search bar? Yeah? I need to find this video again. He's defending ICE by claiming that we are a psyop for detesting an imperialist fucking... I'm just gonna let y'all listen to this. He's reducing the opposition to ICE as an opposition to like borders, and this guy claims to be a fucking socialist. My fucking guy, bro. I really need to find the Jewish video he made. This is the bit I was talking about on Planet Academy. He argued against those free market goals of the Nouvelle Alliance group, right? And then he decides to fucking ally his party with them, of course. He has to have deleted the video. I remember I commented on it. Peter Griffin. What's happening on TikTok? Why is there a free market capitalist liking my videos? Oh my god. I'm worse than them. I'm worse than them. Maybe the video got taken down by Instagram for being too far down a fucking pipeline. AI fucking pictures, of course. Sorry, I'm really trying to find this specific video. I'm gonna fucking lose it, man. Like, this is the kind of fucking life he was doing with his brown coat and silly little badge, hanging around cups. This was such a fucking LARP festival, though. Yeah, I I'm probably gonna find it. What I was talking about his Jewish video is he made a video where the caption was "Why leftists don't want to talk about race," and this is a really fucking atrocious way to put it. Actual fucking sluv. What do you mean race? Why do you want to make this an issue? And then he pointed to Karl Marx on the Jewish question. Karl Marx on the Jewish question. An essay responding to Bruno Bauer's essays on the Jewish question. And the whole point was that it was a Hegelian critique of Judaism and of religion itself as an institution. What the fuck does that have to do with race? Or the concept of race, whatever. It's really just fucking Nazi dog whistles. This guy is an assball. I don't get his ideology. And then he makes these LARP-ass videos with Martin le Catholique, this guy who harasses women outside bars by asking them to find Jesus, whatever the fuck, with this fucking flag. This is Martin, by the way. Monarch of the Kingdom of Quebec. And there's his Parti National Patriote, where he just shits on immigrants and yaps about... Bro, what the fuck is this? Son, I'm crying. Maybe I know where to find the video I was talking about. So if I go to any one of his videos and then La Flèche Nationale, should have it, right? Ah, man. Man. Final for the Liberal Party. Of fucking course he did. I met him a few times. I never spoke to him, but I saw him at a fucking protest. He was talking to the crowd and putting it in a very liberal, happy fun, la la way. And overall, it was... Jesus, how do you even put it? Anyway, let me just... Aha! I found the fucking video. There we go. So, this is the video I was talking about. He deleted it. Don't know why he deleted it. So when you realize why leftists have are scared to talk about race, and then he just goes and shows the Jewish question, like at some point, you've got to be real, bro. This is not an anti-Semitic text that like supports his fucking racial view, right? Marx says that the social emancipation of the Jew is the emancipation of society from Judaism as a religious nature, right? Just like Christianity, right? Because Bruno Bauer was talking about the Jew specifically, but like what Marx then explains is that yeah, Christianity sprang from Judaism and it merges again into this, but I'm gonna be real. I don't understand the substance of this argument. I haven't really dived that deep into the text, but um, specifically, we're talking here about a post-Hegelian critique of religion. Religion as an idealist opium of the people that brings people away from Marxism. Well, not from Marxism. He wrote this in his own time, but yeah. And when he talks about the secular basis of Judaism, practical needs, self-interest, what is the worldly religion of the Jew? Huckstering, what is his worldly god? Money. That's what he says. And like here, it is a quotation from Bruno Bauer that Marx applies. But hold on. In this specific fucking context, there's a very like stark parallel to be drawn with like Judeo-Christian values, and notably Catholic irredentism. They all share those characteristics. Very idealist framings of the world, but primarily self-interest and money. A defense of the capitalist order, and a very stark emphasis on personal self-centered interest and like individual responsibility. Whenever you see Charlie Kirk types, we are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame, or Jordan Peterson, whatever, they always refer to some kind of Judeo-Christian society or civilization. And for them, it's really just a way to say personal responsibility and like very individualist values. And I'm not sure what they mean by that, by Judeo-Christian. You don't define a society by two religious institutions that are part of it. Specifically in Quebec, I'm struggling to make sense of it because we are increasingly atheistic. People have grown very irritated and skeptical of the Catholic Church for very obvious reasons. So yeah, the main argument here that we can draw from Marx is that what we can do to emancipate the Jew or the Christian or the Muslim or whatever religious essence is to move away from materialistic. I can't fucking speak, bro. Materialistic as an accumulation of wealth, and idealist. It feels a bit weird to say materialistic and idealist as a something that is one of the same, but bear with me. Oh my god. So, going back to this, this is the kind of stuff he's been posting personally. He was a high school teacher and he got suspended and then started posting some racist shit again and it got suspended. He's talking about the Iroquois imperialists. It's straight up appropriation of the Front Libération Nationale du Québec too. Like going straight into yeah, it's talking about Quebecois decolonization, and a whole lot of their action, political action, is shitting on quote unquote Antifa. And like a very odd obsession with Jews in general. This is their LARP group, talking about crushing leftists, and he always goes on about how the right and the nationalists are worth associating ourselves to, and then shits on leftists, right? All the fucking time. And of course, he's very reactionary regarding gender and sex as social constructs, right? Critiquing DEI not on a Marxist basis, but simply because he doesn't like brown people. Anyway, this is the kind of shit we're confronted to when we how do I even articulate this? Like, there's no actual principles. These people don't read Marx, they don't read Lenin, they don't read Engels, they don't read Stalin, they've never read anything in their fucking life, and then they claim to be quote unquote a Marxist Leninist, but then they associate themselves to far right fucking pundits. And the same goes to ACP chuds talking about ethical landlords and stuff. And yeah, Dr. Regis, I have a video about this. I'm gonna make a proper one in the future. The Quebec question is quite particular, right? I should low-key make videos in French too regarding this. We are a nation. We are a nation that emerged from French colonization of the Americas. This colonization was not on the same level of drive to populate as the British colonization. We've always been a little people, like they call, as in the French just sent settlers to farm some land, to have some kind of feudal system, right? And to extract some resources, trade some with indigenous people, and then just send this back to Europe. Notably, fur trade was very prevalent. It was colonization, and it doesn't take anything from the nation to like acknowledge this. And then the British came and they committed a whole fucking genocide. And then the French bourgeoisie participated in this, and then the French working class participated in this, of course. Like, we are a nation. We need self-determination. So do indigenous nations. And the whole solution to the Quebec question right here is to do away with capitalism. Same thing with decolonization, right? Decolonization is important, but it's not done through land acknowledgements or maintaining the capitalist mode of production. We live in a society, a class society, where the primary contradiction is capitalism, class struggle. And to address other problems, we first need to address this primary contradiction of capitalism. We don't achieve it by balkanizing into many different bourgeois republics necessarily, primarily. Especially when we are a settler colonial state. So yeah, anyway. I'm gonna try and find the fucking ACP segment I wanted to react to today. Just because, oh my god, it's been 40 minutes and I feel like I haven't said anything of substance. God, the ACP is the future of the US left. Thank you, Mr. Carlos Garrido. We've got headphones here. What is this bullshit? Are we for real? Are we for real? So remember that these people are American. They're crackers. All right. Okay, there we go. Capture sortie, and then we have USB codec. Yeah. Regarding the popularity of the left as a whole in Quebec, it's close to non-existent, right? Regarding bourgeois politics, we have one nominally center-left party called Québec Solidaire. They are social democrats at heart. They are reformists. They have historically been driven further and further to the right, have kept engaging in nationalist petit bourgeois rhetoric. They only care about respectability and being elected and their own pensions as elected members of parliament. Don't get me wrong. I do think some of them have actual like good faith reasons, right? Where they want to get into this line of work as a parliamentarian. At the end of the day, you've got to end up being the solution of this. Most of the politics are insanely reactionary. We have right-wing party after right-wing party after right-wing party, and the Parti Québécois is currently in a very nose deep into nationalism. They've always been nationalists, but this time they're increasing the anti-immigrant rhetoric and increasing the social democrat rhetoric, right? Where they want to reform capitalism instead of actually tackle it. They are very much operating in the same way as these Swedish and Norwegian Sogdem parties, right? Where they are xenophobic, nationalists, and social democrat, right? And they're not. This may sound odd to some people, but like maintaining the capitalist status quo and racism, of course, they go together. So let's watch this ACP video. Big emphasis on this CP here. God fucking damn it. Yeah, that's it. It's social fascism.
They don't. They.
All right, we have someone here named. The fuck is her name? What is it? Hypothetical stuff.
La la la.
I honestly hope not that the ACP is the future.
I'm sorry, I can't fucking hear anything.
No, they're.
All right, we have someone here named. The fuck is her name? What is it? Hypothetical stuff.
I honestly hope not that the ACP is the future of the U.S. left.
Why not?
Well, they're pretty much like reactionary.
What do you mean by reactionary?
They don't. They basically dismiss all sexuality struggles in America.
Okay. Off the bat, right here, is one of the reasons these fucking online debates are ass from the start. This person is not coming from a principle or educated position critiquing the ACP. like, it's true that they are dismissing sexuality struggles in America, but you don't start off with this. It's like they picked out someone who they knew was gonna sound like an idiot, but like, the main thing is that they're social chauvinists. They associate themselves to mega communism, to a movement that brings reactionaries into this party, and then they have a very like anti-Marxist line of using Heidegger and Dugin as theorists. So it's fucking hell, man.
They brush them off and, you know, all that stuff.
Where does it say in the classics of Marxism that sexuality struggle is what defines reactionary versus progressive in terms of world history?
What do you mean by that?
You're using the word reactionary no different than Obama would, no different than the
What?
Democratic Party establishment would. China is today the beacon of world socialism.
Revisionism? Fucking hell, bro. Alright, before we continue, we're gonna read passages from Xi Jinping. Alright. We have Comrade Lulu, a social chauvinist, trying to ask me to debate Haz Aldin. This is actual comedy. So, I search up against Dungism, and then we're hit with the anti-gender movement. Anyway, so the whole thing about socialism and Chinese characteristics, right? Why are we still upholding China as a beacon of socialism when it is effectively a capitalist country with a social welfare state with elements of planning? Like, what the fuck are these Xi Jinping speeches? Reforming and opening up is a long-term and arduous cause, and people need to work on it generation after generation. We should carry out reform to improve the socialist market economy of China and adhere to the basic state policy of opening up to the outside world. We must further reform in key sectors with greater political courage and vision and forge ahead steadily in the direction determined by the party's 18th National Congress. The invisible hand and the visible hand. We should let the market play the decisive role in allocating the resources while allowing the government to better perform its functions. This is a theoretical and practical issue of great importance. A correct and precise understanding of the issue is very important to further the reform and promote the sound and orderly development of the socialist market economy. We should make good use of the roles of both the market, the invisible hand, and the government, the visible hand. The market and the government should complement and coordinate with each other to promote sustained and sound social and economic development. Revolutionize energy production and consumption. Fourth, we must revolutionize the energy market. We will proceed with reform, restore energy status as a commodity, build a system of workable competition, and put in place a mechanism in which energy prices are largely driven by the market. In addition, we will change the way the government supervises the energy industry and establish and improve the legal framework for energy development. This is from Xi Jinping, The Government of China, Volume 1, pages 87, 134, and 149. So there's no actual plan as to what will be the end of this reform and opening up, as opposed to Lenin's Golero plan, where electrification was the condition to move on from this market system. Anyway, so Engels talked a lot about like gender norms, gender roles, and the origins of the family's private property in the state. And furthermore, like homophobia and transphobia are active tools of this capitalist state to divide the working class. Of course, they're gonna promote like anti-queer shit. I have such a dog shit analysis when it comes to this, but really, why are they trying to make a lot of party positions being about gender itself, about sexual identity, right? Like, yeah, I get it. It's frustrating to see people put forward their identity as a queer person above class struggle, but then attack those people for being petit bourgeois, for being bourgeois, because they're pushing class interests that are not proletarian. Don't attack people who are queer for just fucking mentioning it, or saying that we should fight homophobia or reactionary behavior in those very circles. Let's continue this.
And it's infinitely more conservative socially than the Republican Party in the US.
And somehow that makes it correct? No, it doesn't. It doesn't fucking make it correct. And it's not a monolith, and it's also a very revisionist party.
As was the Soviet Union, as is the Democratic People's Republic.
And saying as was the Soviet Union is incredibly reductive. Um, just look at a history of how the USSR treated the question of gender affirming care for trans people, right? It was very historically progressive for this era. And the regression came from the Central Committee's decisions to recriminalize homosexuality between men after the war to promote like birth rates. But like, yeah, just because they did that doesn't mean we have to defend this very specific policy that the Central Committee voted on. It's regressive. It's in itself a reactionary position to hold. And it also doesn't make any fucking sense from a scientific standpoint. So why should we defend this very specific idea? It was like this in the USSR. Is not an argument.
Of Korea. The ACP is not against these different forms of sexuality. What we don't do is heighten those to the level of a principal contradiction and treat it in the ways that the other leftists have treated it, where if you have a conservative worker in front of you, you cancel them if they don't buy into the whole pronoun thing, or if they don't accept, if they have different ideas, more conservative ideas. For us, what's important is the class struggle and fighting against the empire, not
And that's why you are nationalists. That's why you appeal to MAGA communism. That's why you promote Dugin as a principal thinker. Like I get the point that we need to appeal to notably conservatives, conservative members of the working class who hold reactionary views. We absolutely need to go towards them and just open a dialogue, talk about class issues, and the whole point is that we don't pet them in the. It's a fucking weird ass way to put it, but don't pet their reactionary tendencies. Don't get into those. The whole point is to have a principled Marxist outlook, free of bigotry or discrimination against any fucking member. Like, in this case, it's a discussion about trans people. But again, they're making an issue out of a fucking non-issue. Like in our fucking organizations, trans people participate. They're not fucking bourgeois just because they're trans. We respect their fucking pronouns and that's it. It's someone's gender identity. And there's really a material basis to this, right? You're born a certain way. And, yeah. Right. If you're not for changing people's minds on very real social issues that have material impacts, don't present yourself as a fucking communist, right? Even then, I don't think they should be taken seriously solely because they're talking about some fucking ethical landlords and petty bourgeois business owning as a goal of the party. Anyway.
These other secondary or tertiary contradictions.
The tertiary contradictions, man.
So no, we're not even by your standards of what socially progressive politics are, we're not reactionary by that because there's nothing in the ACP Constitution that discriminates against anyone. We have trans people in the party, we have gay people in the party, we have some gay people that are in positions of power in the party, we have women in positions of power in the party. So all that you're saying is we have to either elevate issues of transsexuality to the level of a principal contradiction, which we would be 100% against, because that's just fucking bullshit identity politics. It's anti-Marxist. Or you're basing your judgments on an ignorance of what the fuck the ACP actually is.
Dude, well, like,
Quickly, I just want to revisit their party program. What the fuck is the fourth industrial revolution, man? Article 17, promotion of American civilization. And there you go, United States of America into one United Republic. Like, of course, they don't put gender as a contradiction here in the party constitution because it's entirely irrelevant, and no actual party puts that in the constitution except for just oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm gonna go off the rail here. They're talking about some Bill of Rights socialism. Anyway, we're gonna continue with this.
no, I'm not a very articulate person, but I'll say this, that I saw a video like the ACP, like Marxism isn't woke, whatever.
Marxism isn't woke. Who says Marxism is woke?
Even though it like abolishes like all capitalist social relations.
What does that have to do with woke?
That's pretty woke.
What do you mean by woke? Do you know what we mean by woke? You know when
Do you know what you mean by woke?
we say woke, what we're referring to?
Like I think when you guys say woke, you mean like the conservative, like
No. Well, when we say woke, we're referring to the liberal wing, the democratic wing of the ruling hegemonic forces here in the United States. We're talking about
Then say reactionary. Then say social chauvinist.
people that basically put rainbow flags and BLM stickers on the bombs that drop in Gaza and say it's okay because it's being done by a black woman or something. That's what woke refers to. It's a form of liberal identity politics, which every form of identity politics is a form of class politics, either a form of class politics of the professional managerial class or a form of class politics of the elite. But when we refer to wokeism, we mean something very real and concrete. We mean this sort of liberal jibber jabber that tries to pass itself off as emancipatory and progressive while fundamentally having within it a actually reactionary position with regards to U.S. imperialism. Because a lot of the people that sit there and like Kat Abu Gabubu, I forget what her last name is, super woke in terms of LGBTQ stuff, and then extremely
Kat Abu Ghazali, yeah. In that very case, like, yes, of course, we're against fucking imperialism and liberal identity politics. But what the fuck does that have to do with gender identity?
militantly pro-imperialist, wants to intensify the proxy war against Russia, wants to intensify the new Cold War against China.
The proxy war against Russia. It's an interior imperialist conflict, my guy.
By funding Taiwan. So that's what we refer to as woke, a way of moving what it means to be historically progressive away from, are you against the capitalist system, which today takes the form of super imperialism, a super imperialism that has as its historically progressive, away from, are you against the capitalist system, which today takes the form of super imperialism.
Ultra imperialism is back at it again, baby. Oh, my guy. Carlos.
super imperialism that has as its basis the U.S. Hegemonic power, U.S. hegemony, dollar hegemony, the global system where the dollar is the reserve currency of the world and the U.S. can do whatever the fuck it wants because of it. That is the principal contradiction. And what
The principal contradiction is class relations. It's not the U.S. itself. I mean, yes, it is an empire. Any principal contradiction within this empire is capitalism.
wokeism is saying, no, it's actually gay struggles, or it's actually trans.
What the fuck does that have to do with queer rights? Like the integration of like queer rights and other struggles within this Marxist movement. It's not to say that this or that one is a more important or universal contradiction, right? Karl Kautsky. It's suck damn tung tung sahur. Like the whole point is that we should just fucking accept people who for who they are. Otherwise, you're creating an antagonism between you and that person. You're gonna alienate them. If you're being fucking social reactionary, right?
This is trans that wokeism is the leftists that started condemning Burkina Faso, one of the most impressive contemporary struggles against neocolonialism, uniting in a Pan-African manner these revolutionary states in the Sahel, condemning them because they passed an anti-gay bill. Why did they do that? Well, because they see that attached to imperialism, Jesus Christ, do you guys hear me? I received the phone call. That attached to imperialism are all these series of cultural values, which include LGBTQ values that other civilizations have historically not accepted.
This is colonialism, bro. Colonialism brought homophobia and a destruction of this third gender, right? As someone who has taken a few anthropology classes in the past, I implore you to take one yourself. Human civilization is not a hegemon, and like gender itself has been very fluid throughout all these civilizations. And it's not inherent to the capitalist mode of production. It's not a Western value to embrace people for their individual identity, and it doesn't contradict the collective struggle against capitalism to do so. Like, if someone's gay, lesbian, bi, trans, so fucking be it. It's not an ideological thing, right? The movement itself stemmed from oppression based on the consideration of queer people as like twisted or whatever the fuck. Like,
position of the communists is kind of indifferent to this stuff. You know, you have a society like China that's very conservative, and then you have one like Cuba that's a little bit more liberal. We can get into some of the reasons why Cuba is more liberal, but it's absurd to, you know, sit here and say the ACP is reactionary. People are busting their ass, sacrificing so much, thousands of cadres around the country, sacrificing job employment, migrational status, sacrificing so much to fight for communism for random people to just spread rumors that we're reactionary, all because we're not going to cancel conservative Christian workers who want to join the fucking movement, or Muslim workers who want to join the movement. Half of our fucking leadership, not half of our top leadership, 2 of our 7 executive board members are Muslim, the other 2 are like Orthodox Christians. Are we supposed to cancel them?
Oh my god. These people need to read Marx. These people all need to fucking read Marx.
Wouldn't it be anti-woke to cancel people because of their religious beliefs? So what the ACP says is that we need this.
I mean, why do you have cadres that uphold idealism and eclecticism? How do you expect a party to be principled and communist when it doesn't embrace the materialist world outlook of Marxism?
Larger common principle based on class struggle and based on the struggle against imperialism that we need to focus on and not pay attention to these petty differences. And what we don't allow in the party is anyone to be discriminated against because of their identity. We're not like fucking discriminating trans people. There's trans people in the party. There's people with channels there's trans people with channels that constantly defend the ACP online and that combat, you know, presumptions like the ones that you came in here holding. So please tell me how we're reactionary.
These people?
Well, like about Burkina Faso, I feel like you can condemn their banning of like gay people while also like proposing like this.
Why would you do that?
Great like achievements that they've done.
Why would you sit there and moralize against a decision that African people standing up against neocolonialism?
That's not what the argument is, though. Like, you can't support an anti-imperialist movement without like defending every single position. That's the whole fucking point about being principled is you have principles, bro.
Why do I give a fuck? I don't care. They want to be more socially conservative. That's up to them. Maybe values in Burkina Faso, maybe, I don't know. But they have a different series of values. Why do you want to impose your very Western values on African socialists, on African people
What are values? Can you define values, Carlos?
fighting for freedom, literally with arms, fighting for freedom? What justification, what proof do you have in the pudding as an American leftist? And I'm not just speaking about you, I'm talking about American leftists in general. What have we accomplished to give us the moral authority to speak to African revolutionaries that literally threw off the yoke of neocolonialism and tell them, hey, we're going to condemn you for banning, for this anti-gay bill? Why do we do that? With what standpoint of moral authority can we do something such as that?
I'm not putting it in a moral standpoint. I just don't support like the oppression of like certain peoples just because of their sexuality.
Okay, but look at how you have behaved in this live stream. You took a party that's sacrificing everything within the empire to fight for the working class and to fight for the defeat of U.S. imperialism.
By building small businesses? Is that how you're fucking building socialism and fighting capitalism?
And you very vaguely called it reactionary, from a understanding of what's reactionary and what's progressive that has nothing to do with the Marxist tradition, emphasizing trans issues.
And that's a problem with the person he's debating. It's not a problem with the critiques of the ACP.
LGBTQ issues, and then you moved over to a country like Burkina Faso to attack their gay bill. I mean, what's
You mentioned fucking Burkina Faso, bro.
what is this? You see, this is what wokeism is. You have a party that I'm sure that if you looked at our stuff, you would agree with 90-something% of the stuff that we're actually doing, the stuff that we're doing on the ground, where you're going to focus on the fact that we let conservative members into the party. And then the same thing with Burkina Faso. Really, that's where you're going to focus on the gay bill. That's the essence of what wokeism is. It's not having an understanding of what the fuck is the principal contradiction. And that means just not having Marxism. Marxism is fundamentally a way of looking at the world that identifies everything as in a constant state of development, and that tries to see what are the imminent, so internal contradictions that are driving that development. And within that analysis of contradictions, we try to identify, as Mao said, what is the principal contradiction that we focus around.
And then he goes on to quote Mao. Of course.
And the principal contradiction has always been, with few exceptions where you need like a united front against fascism or something, the principal contradiction has always been the class struggle and the struggle against imperialism as the class struggle taking a global form. That is
Of course. How does that negate the embracing fucking queer people?
the essence of the ACP. So who the fuck are we to condemn conservative workers that want to join our party? Half of the country is conservative. We're going to condemn them. We're going to belittle them. We're going to take the Hillary Clinton attitude of, oh, you're a basket of deplorables because you don't accept LGBTQ values and because you don't show up with a pronoun pin to the socialist meeting. Of course not.
Holy fucking strawman, man.
And it's because we don't have that attitude that a lot of these woke leftists dislike us. It's not because we attack fucking gay people, because we don't attack fucking trans people. We don't do any of that. We have them in our party and they're comfortable. There's been no fucking complaints, no scandals from any of these people
There have been. There have been fucking scandals, man.
that are already in the party. So why is it? It's because you guys, the leftists that are woke, want that at the front and center. And we're saying no.
No, we don't. We don't want this at the front of center. We just don't believe in petty bourgeois businesses as a center hole for revolution. We don't believe in ethical landlords. We don't believe in dismissing people's sexual and gender identities or calling them woke for having those said identities. And the whole thing, right, about getting conservatives into the party, right? Who fucking cares about like their personal like set of values here? When you're building a communist party, the whole point about this is that you recruit in notably worker unions. You do actual union work, community building, community work. And the people who are gonna be interested in a communist party, right from the bat, not from a second workers organization, right? Broad syndicalist base. In this syndicalist base, most of the elements are progressive, at least here in Quebec. A few reactionaries, of course. There always are people with social reactionary beliefs. Do you think that the people who are going to see communism, right, like this, are going to be very reactionary social conservatives? Like this whole Christian social conservative thing, right, isn't the base for someone who wants to join a communist party and organize, right? I don't know how to put it plainly, but the whole point is to not appeal to those people's conservative values and to promote an educational program that educates people on said issues.
No, because that's a distraction to the actual class struggle. That's not a principal contradiction.
So you're quoting Mao about principal contradiction, but you're refusing to actually work on secondary and tertiary contradictions, but whatever the fuck.
Let me just think about this. You just said a lot, so like, you know.
And yeah, it's traumatic because he brings a dumbass on the show. I'm sorry, bro. I don't need to call. How do we even go about covering this? I'm sorry.
I just don't get why you guys just like, I guess, like, let people just be like who they want. Like, I mean, like, reaction.
This is not a debate when the other person has no idea what they're talking about either. Dr. Garrido, bro. Like, and the comments are all like, they always cycle to the same 3 or 4 lines. That's this specific person.
Sure. I don't know.
Give me one example where we have let people be reactionary.
Ladies and gentlemen, gays and theys, may I introduce you to Haz Aldin, their general secretary? What about letting people be reactionary? This guy's whole fucking thing is promoting Heidegger and Alexander Dugin, a guy who tried to synthesize a new fascism. I also find it very funny that they claim they want to promote American civilization, or to spread American civilization, promotion of American civilization, and then they're talking about some Western values being bad and woke. And like, it's these broad appeals: mass immigration, modern slavery, right? Why is the standardization of weights and measures in their party program? This is not an important thing to be done here. Metrication, yeah. The metric system. This is an important part of our party program.
I just don't like support it. You know.
Give me one example where we have let people be reactionary and encourage it as a party. There you go, guys. That's how it usually goes. Give me an example. They can't give an example, and so they leave. This is always how it goes. This is always how it goes. Haas has these live streams every once in a while. It's always how it fucking goes. And that's the state of the left. And I'm glad there's people here to see it. I'm glad there's people here to see it. Because all that the ACP says is that what we should focus on is the class struggle and the struggle against imperialism. Not fucking parsing out which workers are pro-trans and which ones aren't, and then organizing one segment of them. Or trying to fucking get the other segment to agree with one segment. You know? The fuck are we to do that? What gives us...
Oh yeah, and yeah, and then you check out what Haz is posting: occupied states of America, and then he has those fucking American flags on, and he's talking about a banker's dictatorship. Not the capitalists, not the bourgeois, just the bankers. S4 has good. Super imperialism, my guy. Karlsky. And boom, there we go. Hazek's fucking Dugin. My fucking guy, man. My guy. The Eurasian Youth Union. The path to MAGA communism. I'm interested to see what his communist tier list is.
What I'm gonna do tonight is we're gonna be ranking communists. So let's get
Holy LARP.
to it. You know, probably not.
Alright, we have Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin, and Mao in S tier, and Gonzalo in E tier. After a strong start. Brezhnev in C tier. Khrushchev in F tier. Alright, respectable. I can't fucking see because of the video quality. Bukharin and Trotsky in the F tier. Hold on, I'm interested in Kalinin in B tier, of course. Korupskaya in C tier. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Karl Liebknecht in C tier. Kautsky in D tier. Oh, yeah. I wonder where he's putting in C tier because he's a social fascist and he disagrees with everything this guy fucking stood for. He agrees with it. Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-un in B tier. Zhao and Lai in fucking B tier. My guy. Hugo Chavez in B tier. Enver Hoxha in C tier? Go fuck yourself, my guy. No fucking way. No fucking way he put Hoxha on the same level as Leonid Brezhnev. Why is Hoxha on the same level as Molotov? This is unacceptable. Zinoviev. I'm interested to see where he puts Ceausescu in C tier. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, hold on. He put Tito in the same fucking layer as Hoxha. And Ceausescu. Xi Jinping and Deng Xiaoping in A tier, my guy. You can't make this up. Who's in the F tier? Saddam Hussein, Angela Davis, Eric Honecker. Why is Jeremy Corbyn in here? He's not a fucking communist. But I do love Corbyn along with Leon Trotsky. Bro. LARP's a whore. No, Xi Jinping in the A tier is actually fucking diabolical. Pol Pot? Oh. Bro, puts Pol Pot higher than Sankara and Ho Chi Minh. Saddam Hussein. Alright, let's go see Eddie Midwestern Marx tier list. Oh no. Oh no. The big spoon.
In biology in a way that hurt the name of socialism and communism in Peru. That being said, if you read, a random Chairman Gonzalo quote, a lot of them are based. The people who he was fighting against in Peru were really, really bad, evil, US-backed imperialist reactionaries. But also, you got to take into account the effect that he's had on the Western left. Like, so many Western leftists run around holding up Gonzalo like he's literally in the S tier with Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin, and Mao. Like, he's the sixth head of Marxism, and they're just ultras. So yeah, we'll put him in E. We'll leave.
True. Who are these people? Trotsky and F tier, of course. I hope so. That's the least you could do. Settlers, the mythology of the white proletariat. Yeah. Bro, why are you upholding Enver Hoxha in the A tier? And then you also put fucking Kim Jong-un and Hugo Chavez on the same tier along with... I'm guessing he's gonna put Xi Jinping on there. Incredible. The red hat is fucking killing me, dude. Eddie, okay. So, oh yeah, of course. So he puts fucking Stalin and Mao in S tier, and then also Deng Xiaoping and Xi Jinping, and then also puts Enver Hoxha in a high position here. Wow. with fucking Muammar Gaddafi in B tier. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. This is fucking hilarious. Where's Bashar al-Assad? I'm fucking blind. He's in C tier. Along with Rosa Luxemburg. I'm crying, bro. Above Leonid Brezhnev. That's crazy. But yeah, like what is to be done then? What is to be done? Fuck, just organize the working class into a political power, my guy. And to do this, you need to do actual community work and work in unions. Not in actual existing unions solely. There's a lot of work to be done in like work organizations. Man, I don't even know how to continue on with this. It's LARP after LARP after LARP. Gulags, of course. Yeah, yep, of course. That's what's to be done. Pol Pot. Actually, selected works of Pol Pot. We're gonna read some Pol Pot. Did this guy ever write any actual theory? No, he did not. Pol Pot. He did. I'm struggling to find anything actually relevant to the Pol Pot archive. But yeah, regarding specifically like the ACP and ASLN types, I think the whole slick is specifically just bourgeois nationalism and bourgeois reaction. What is to be done then is just to ignore the shit out of them and actually write proper critiques, not just LARPy live streams like this one. I think that'd be principled, at least. There's some Pol Pot literature, like he did. It's more communications and dialogues with and speeches, right? The democratic revolution. The yeah. What even is Pol-Potism, bro? Fighting against Vietnam? Anything else? And the thing I really don't get is their obsession with talking specifically about these ACP types, MAGA communists, and other national chauvinists, social chauvinists, an obsession with the defense of China's current capitalist restoration as an example of socialism. Do they not realize that the whole point of critiquing China as it stands today is to hold a correct line to build socialism in the future? Like, we're sorry that we are actual socialists, I guess. Oh yeah, I forgot Pol Pot mentioned Pol Pot. We should make an actual episode on Daingism in China, where the building of wealth is more important than actual construction of socialism. Yeah. LARP. Hakim made a tier list for this. I'm interested to see how it went. Hakim tier list. Didn't he make a lot of tier lists? Oh, it might have been in a deprogram episode. Like, it's a bit annoying that there's a lot of principled takes on this channel, and then boom, you go on about defending the current Chinese model, and then I find it laughable that there's a lot of videos like this about how it is bullshit that people say they need a mixture of capitalism and socialism, while that's effectively what the CPC under Xi Jinping is doing, and has been doing ever since Deng. The combination of a visible and invisible hand, a market society. And I can't find an actual reading list. What critique are you talking about specifically? I like the response to the China episode as an actual defense of a proper Marxist-Leninist line. Does he have an actual longer video on China? Has to be. Oh shit, someone else wrote a book on the Chinese question other than Hoja. Who would have thought? Like, I've seen a lot of like these audience participation surveys. I mean, there's the question of like having at least a nominal Communist Party. And Marxist-Leninist factions in it, at least, but why are they factions? And not the guiding party line? Anyway, yeah. I think that's gonna wrap it up. I don't have much more to say on the topic tonight. I am preparing a full, more developed video on anti-during. Why did I say it like this? Anti-during. In a constant nuke form, I guess. And then the decolonization video is gonna come soon. I just need to read a lot more stuff. So yeah.